My father died of cancer. My stepfather died of heart disease. My mother has severe osteoporosis. My sister-in-law is diabetic. A friend of mine was just diagnosed with breast cancer. My neighbor's on heart medicines and cholesterol-lowering drugs. All this sound familiar? What's not so familiar is that these health problems were caused by eating habits. In fact, eating is the biggest cause of disease, disabilities, and death in the U.S. today. And according to the Surgeon General, eating kills 2 out of 3 Americans every year. The American eating habit, in other words, is officially suicidal. For most of my life, I never made the connection. I was your typical American yuppie eating what I thought was a healthy diet. But that's just the problem. What we call a healthy diet, in fact what the government defines as a healthy diet, is health dangerous. People are dying of heart attacks, cancers, and other diseases because they're following these healthy guidelines. I remember the widow of a famous man saying she did everything right. She followed all the guidelines until she died of cancer in her early 60s. Later on, you'll meet Dr. Joseph Crow, a surgeon at the Cleveland Clinic who suffered a heart attack at the age of 44. And he completely reversed his heart disease by not following government guidelines. And you'll also meet Dr. Neil Pinckney, a psychologist who ate the standard American diet until his coronary arteries became blocked. Instead of bypass surgery, he reversed his heart disease by rejecting the advice of 4 doctors. And you'll meet Dr. Ruth Heydrich, a marathon runner who ate much better than government guidelines. She got breast cancer in her 40s as a result, and she beat the cancer only by waking up and not following the advice of 5 doctors. By the year 2000, the American diet had been turned completely upside down. As a result, heart disease rose from an obscure illness to become our #1 killer. Cancer, diabetes, and other little-known diseases became household names. We became the fattest nation on the planet, and we turned eating into the most popular form of unassisted suicide. Today, the majority of school children already have signs of heart disease, and many are now taking cholesterol-lowering drugs. And 85% of adults suffer from hardening of the arteries, and half of the entire population will die prematurely due to heart disease. And over 40% of the population will develop a life-threatening cancer. We've become a nation of walking wounded because of our diet. What Americans consider to be a healthy diet today is like a train wreck to the body. By age 65, we stuff over 50 tons of food down our throats, enough to fill 6 of these garbage trucks. In those quantities, the type of food you eat can devastate your body. Take a look at this staggering list of just some of the health disorders and diseases that are linked to our current eating habit. Americans are not unique. When people in other parts of the world abandon their traditional plant-based diets and start eating like Americans, they start dying like Americans. The pattern is not only obvious, but totally predictable. No matter where you look, when people adopt animal-based diets, heart disease and cancer suddenly become their biggest killers. This is now happening throughout the world in countries like Japan and China, where they're replacing rice and vegetables with meat and dairy products. And American eating diseases are spreading like wildfire. The one thing an animal-based diet does best is kill people. It does this by clogging arteries and restricting the flow of blood and oxygen throughout the body. Deprive the heart of oxygen, you get a heart attack. Deprive the brain of oxygen, you get a stroke. Deprive your tissues and cells of oxygen, and you set up the underlying cause of all cancers. Eating animal foods causes a fatty sludge buildup in your blood, and some of it sticks to the sides of your arteries. Your blood should be as clean and clear as the wine in this glass. When you eat a high-fat meal, it creates a fatty sludge buildup in your blood and causes your body to spend the next 5 hours cleaning up the mess. Of course, the excess fat and cholesterol eventually settles, usually in your arteries. This picture shows how fat and cholesterol build up in the arteries and restrict the flow of blood. The blue circle shows how wide the artery should be, and the red circle shows how narrow it has become. Now imagine blood vessels throughout your entire body clogging up like this. The vast majority of our major diseases today, ranging from heart disease to spinal disc deterioration to senility, are ultimately the result of clogged arteries. In other words, clogged arteries go far beyond heart disease, and almost all Americans have heart disease throughout their entire bodies. The seriousness of clogged blood vessels can't be exaggerated. More people die from blood vessel diseases than from all other causes of death combined. The primary cause of clogged blood vessels is cholesterol, and the only dietary source of cholesterol on the planet is animal foods. Animal foods close arteries. Plant foods open them.
For bypasses, shouldn't have to have them, as long as they're willing to make changes in their lifestyle. They have to exercise. They have to take out a little time every day to make sure they exercise. They have to change their diet. They have to lower their fat, and they have to take plant-based foods instead of animal-based foods. That seems to be much more sensible than having a stent put in, which will close up again if you don't change your lifestyle, or a bypass operation which will plug up again eventually, maybe in a year, maybe in 5 years, but it's going to plug up again unless the lifestyle is changed.
Show me a population eating an animal-based diet, and I'll show you a population where cancer is the second biggest killer, after heart disease. In fact, heart disease and cancer are the two hallmark diseases of an animal-based diet. Effective, but the search for a so-called cure has been totally misguided. Now close your blinds, turn down the volume, and make sure no one else is watching, because I'm about to let you in on a dirty little secret. Ready? We already have a cure for cancer. It's called the immune system. Your immune system not only protects you against colds and flus, but it's been protecting humans from cancer since the very beginning. It's the only cure for cancer we have. Always has been and always will be. The biggest cause of cancer is not radiation, chemicals in the water, or pollutants in the air, but a weakened immune system that cannot recognize and kill cancer cells. In other words, you can't prevent cancer. You're going to get cancer cells in your body. The average adult gets at least one cancer cell in their body every single day, and there's nothing you can do to prevent this from happening. The question is not whether you'll get cancer, but whether your immune system is healthy enough to kill cancer cells and stop them from multiplying. Autopsy studies have shown that by age 50, almost half of all women have breast cancer, and 40% of men have prostate cancer. And nearly all Americans have some form of cancer growing inside their bodies. This is because our immune systems have become seriously weakened due to our change in diet. This is why populations eating animal-based diets are plagued with cancers, and those eating plant-based diets are not. Don't look to the cancer industry for a cure. The cure for cancer is right inside you. And the only way to win your personal war on cancer is to strengthen your immune system by changing your diet. Plant foods are the only foods that strengthen the immune system and contain cancer-fighting nutrients. So a change to a plant-based diet turns out to be the only real cure for cancer we have. The strongest cancer-fighting medicines on the planet don't have scary names, and they're not found in hospitals, but in your humble grocery store.